After a wild party, I woke up next to someone I barely knew who whispered, "I bet you won't forget me." I stammered, "This was just one night." He smirked, "Then why did you say you didn't want to leave?" My friend asked, "Where were you all night?" I knew my one-night stand was a secret I couldn't erase. I don't even know where to start. I've been sitting on this for a while, debating whether to post it, but I can't get it out of my head. I don't know if I'm looking for advice or if I just need to get it off my chest, but either way, here it is. I had just gotten out of a 5-year relationship. It ended badly. I won't go into details, but let's just say it wasn't my decision. I was drinking a lot, not really taking care of myself, and my friends were getting sick of watching me spiral. That's how I ended up at this party in downtown Chicago. Ben, my best friend since college, invited me. Said it was at some guy's penthouse, a friend of a friend. I didn't care. I just needed a distraction. Work had been a nightmare, my apartment felt too quiet, and the idea of drinking until I stopped thinking sounded good enough. So, I went. The place was unreal, one of those apartments with floor-to-ceiling windows that made the city look like a painting. The kind of place that felt like a different world, where you could pretend for a night that life wasn't a mess. I grabbed a drink, took a shot with Ben, and let myself get lost in it. That's when I saw her. She was standing near the bar, red dress, dark hair, eyes that didn't just look at you, they studied you. She wasn't just pretty. She had this confidence, this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. I don't know if I approached her or if she approached me. I just remember talking. Drinking. Laughing. Then dancing. Then kissing. Then she whispered something in my ear, and everything after that was a blur. I woke up the next morning in one of the guest rooms. My head was pounding. My mouth was dry. My stomach churned as I tried to remember what the hell had happened. And then I realized I wasn't alone. She was next to me, wrapped in the sheets, eyes already open, watching me like she'd been waiting for me to wake up. She smiled. Smirked, really. Then she whispered, "I bet you won't forget me." I swallowed hard. My brain was still foggy. "This was just one night," I said, throat dry, voice hoarse. Her smirk didn't fade. If anything, it grew. "Then why did you keep saying you didn't want to leave?" My stomach dropped. I had no memory of saying that. Before I could even process it, my phone buzzed. It was Ben. "Where the hell were you all night?" I grabbed my clothes, muttered some excuse to the woman still lying in bed, and practically ran out of that room. I felt off, like I was walking through a dream that didn't make sense. Ben was waiting for me by the elevator. Arms crossed. Eyebrow raised. "You disappeared," he said. "We were looking for you." "Yeah," I muttered, rubbing my temples. Cracked out in one of the guest rooms. He stared at me. "Alone?" I didn't answer. We left the party, got greasy breakfast at some diner, and I tried to push the whole thing out of my mind. But something about it didn't sit right. The way she had smiled at me. The way she had spoken to me, like she knew something I didn't. I told myself it didn't matter. Just a random hookup. No big deal. Until the text started. At first, it was normal. A number I didn't recognize. "Did you make it home safe?" I assumed it was her. I didn't respond. A few hours later, already forgetting about me? I ignored it. The next day, hope work wasn't too stressful today. That one made me pause. I hadn't told her where I worked. Then another, "The blue shirt looks good on you." I nearly dropped my phone. I was wearing a blue shirt. I looked around, heart hammering, trying to convince myself it was a coincidence. Maybe she had guessed. Maybe I had told her something last night and just didn't remember. Then she sent a picture. Of my apartment building. I felt sick. I called the number. She answered on the first ring. "Took you long enough," she said. I didn't waste time. "How do you know where I live?" A pause. "Then, you told me." "No, I didn't." She laughed. "You really don't remember much from that night, do you?" I gritted my teeth. This needs to stop. Another pause. Then, softer, "Are you sure?" I hung up. The text stopped. For a while. I started to believe it was over. Then one last message came. "See you soon, winky face. I moved to a new apartment the next week. Just in case." For a while, things were quiet. No texts. No calls. No strange messages. I told myself she had moved on. Maybe it was just some weird, drunk obsession on her end. Maybe she was messing with me for fun. Maybe I had overreacted. Then, one night, I saw her again. It was a Friday, and I was out with Ben at a bar in River North. A normal night, beer, wings, dumb conversation about work. I was finally feeling like myself again. Then Ben froze mid-sentence, eyes locked on something behind me. I turned. She was there. Same dark hair. Same red dress. Same smirk. Standing by the bar, swirling a drink in her hand, looking directly at me like she'd been waiting. I felt my stomach twist. Ben leaned in. Dude. Is that, yeah. She's staring at you. I know. She following you? I don't know. I could feel my pulse in my throat. My skin felt tight. I wanted to believe this was a coincidence, but something in my gut told me it wasn't. Then she lifted her glass, like a silent toast. I stood up. Ben grabbed my arm. What are you doing? I need to talk to her. What? No. That's a terrible idea. I ignored him and made my way through the crowd, every nerve in my body on high alert. By the time I got to the bar, she was still watching me, completely calm, like this was all part of some game. You followed me, I said. She took a slow sip of her drink. I didn't. Bullshit. She tilted her head. You never told me your last name, remember? I clenched my jaw. But I found you anyway, she continued. Doesn't that say something? I gritted my teeth. What do you want? She leaned in. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. You. I swallowed hard. This isn't funny. She smiled. I'm not joking. I exhaled, forcing myself to stay calm. Listen. Whatever this is, it stops now. I don't know what you think happened that night, but, you said you didn't want to leave, she whispered. My breath caught. Something in the way she said it, like a memory just out of reach, made my whole body go cold. I don't remember saying that, I forced out. She studied me for a long moment. Then she placed something on the bar in front of me. My watch. The one I'd lost that night. I hadn't even realized it was missing. I stared at it, a wave of nausea rolling through me. I had no idea how she had it. No idea how I hadn't noticed it was gone. Her voice was soft, almost gentle. You didn't lose it, she said. You gave it to me. I grabbed the watch and turned, pushing through the crowd, my heart hammering. Ben caught up with me outside. Dude. What the hell just happened? I couldn't answer. Because I didn't know. All I knew was that something was very, very wrong. I didn't sleep that night. I kept turning the watch over in my hands, trying to remember. Trying to piece together something, anything, from that night. Nothing. Just flashes. The party. The drinks. The way she had whispered in my ear. The way she had looked at me like she already knew me. Like we had some kind of history. But that was impossible. The next morning, I called Ben. I think I need to file a report or something. Ben groaned. A report? On what? She had my watch, man. My watch. That I don't even remember giving to her. Ben sighed. Okay, but, maybe you did give it to her? You were wasted. I swallowed hard. That's not the part that's freaking me out. Ben was quiet for a second. Then, carefully, what is? I rubbed my face. I don't remember leaving the party, Ben. I don't remember anything after going into that room with her. And the way she keeps saying I didn't want to leave, dude, you're overthinking this. Am I? Ben exhaled. Look, worst case. She's a stalker. Block her. Move on. I wanted to believe that. I really did. Then, that night, something else happened. I was alone in my apartment, trying to distract myself with Netflix, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, forgot something else. My stomach clenched. Another message popped up. A photo. My key. The spare one I kept in my apartment. The one that should have been sitting in the dish by my front door. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. My hands were ice cold. I ran to the dish. Empty. My chest tightened. I dialed the number. It rang once. Twice. Then she picked up. Did you check the dish? She asked, her voice smooth. I swallowed hard. How the hell did you get my key? She didn't answer. I felt my pulse thudding against my skull. Did you come into my apartment? Silence. Then, softly, you let me in. A shiver ran through me. No, I said firmly. No, I didn't. A pause. Then, not last night. I felt dizzy. Something was wrong. Very, very wrong. I had checked my locks. My door hadn't been tampered with. Nothing else was missing. Just the key. Like I had given it to her. I hung up and called Ben. Dude, I swear to God, she's been in my apartment. Ben sighed. Okay, you're spiraling. You're freaking yourself out over some crazy girl who, she has my key, Ben. Silence. What? I swallowed. She texted me a picture of it. It's gone. Call the cops. I sat down hard. My brain was racing. I should call the cops. But something was holding me back. Because deep down, some part of me was afraid that maybe, just maybe, she was telling the truth. That I had let her in. That I just didn't remember. I sat in my apartment, staring at the key in the photo. My hands felt numb, my mind looping through every possible explanation. Had I given it to her? Had I let her in? Had I let her in and then forgotten? No. No way. That didn't make sense. I pressed the call button again. This time, she didn't answer. Instead, she sent another message. Unknown number, come see me. Let's talk. Attached was a pin. A location. I tapped it. It was a bar. The same penthouse from the party. Ben refused to let me go alone. If this chick is actually dangerous, you need backup, he argued. I didn't even have the strength to fight him on it. So, an hour later, we walked into the penthouse together. The place was exactly how I remembered it. Loud, expensive, full of people who looked like they belonged in a magazine. The music thumped through my chest, but I barely noticed. Because there she was. Sitting at the bar. Wearing the same red dress. She smiled when she saw me. You came. I gritted my teeth. You didn't leave me much of a choice. Ben was right behind me, arms crossed, ready for a fight. I leaned in, my voice low. How do you have my key? She tilted her head. Sit with me. No games. She exhaled. All right. Then, just as calmly, she reached into her purse and pulled out something small. My watch. Not the one she had given me before. Another one. Identical. Ben swore under his breath. I felt lightheaded. What the hell is this? She placed it on the bar. The one I gave you was a copy. My stomach twisted. What? She leaned in, voice soft, just for me. You gave me your watch that night. Your real watch. And you don't remember, do you? I didn't move. She smiled, slow and knowing. You don't remember anything at all. I swallowed. My throat was dry. What did I say? Her smile deepened. You said you didn't want to leave. My breath hitched. Then she whispered, and you meant it. I should have left right then. Should have walked out and never looked back. But I didn't. Because I needed to know. So I sat down. Ben cursed under his breath but stayed standing, hovering like a bodyguard. She traced the rim of her glass. I don't think you understand, so let me help. I forced myself to look her in the eyes. What happened that night? She leaned closer. You tell me. I shook my head. I can't. Her smirk faded. She reached into her bag again and pulled out a photo. She slid it across the bar. I picked it up with shaking fingers. It was me. Lying on the bed. Asleep. Next to her. Her face was turned toward me, watching me. In the picture, her hand was resting on my wrist. And then I saw it. Something on my arm. A bracelet. Not mine. I looked at her, my mouth dry. What is this? Her voice was gentle. A promise. I set the picture down, gripping the bar to keep myself steady. Ben was shifting uncomfortably. This is messed up, man. I swallowed, forcing my voice to stay even. What kind of promise? She smiled. And then she said something that shattered me. You don't know who I am, do you? I felt the air leave my lungs. She tilted her head. You really don't remember, do you? I couldn't answer. Because something was there, something just out of reach in the back of my mind. Like an old dream I couldn't quite grasp. Something about that bracelet. Then she whispered, you said we'd meet again. Memories came rushing back. Not from the penthouse party. From years ago. Late nights. Cheap drinks. Chicago winters. A girl with dark hair and brown eyes. A different bar. A different version of me. Younger. Reckless. Someone who said things without thinking. Someone who made promises he didn't intend to keep. I had met her before. And I had forgotten. I felt like I was going to be sick. My head snapped up. My voice cracked. We knew each other? She nodded. Years ago. Before you had your fancy job. Before your nice apartment. Before her. The last word dripped with something sharp. Ben was staring at me. Dude. What is she talking about? I barely heard him. My pulse was deafening. She reached for my hand, fingers cold against my skin. You made me a promise, she said softly. My throat was tight. I don't remember. She sighed, almost disappointed. I figured. Then she let go and stood up. You'll remember soon. Then, just like that, she walked away. Ben grabbed my arm. We're leaving. Now. The days after that were a mess. I couldn't think. I couldn't focus. Because I remembered. I remembered her. It was 6 years ago. A different bar. A night I had completely erased from my mind. We had met. We had talked. And at some point in the night, I had taken the bracelet off her wrist, slipped it onto mine, and said something drunk and stupid, if we ever see each other again, it'll mean it's fate. She had laughed. Fate? I had grinned. Yeah. Like some stupid movie. Then I had walked away. Never called. Never reached out. Forgotten all about her. But she hadn't forgotten me. And now, here we were. That was 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen her since. But sometimes, when I'm walking home, I swear I feel someone watching me. And every time my phone buzzes, my heart stops. Because part of me knows, she's not done.